So for productivity increases between users and non-users, can you share any data on that? What areas are they more productive? Did you find equipment kept up better? I expect you're probably more likely to go through pre-checks and PMs, if not coming down from a high.
Yes, and in our industry, it's tough, right? It's really tough to say, hey, this one thing impacted productivity. I will tell you, year over year, we've seen improvement in productivity, and we measure productivity as utilization per truck, meaning the amount of miles a driver has driven the truck per week and per month, per quarter. And when I say it's tough to measure that, you throw the COVID piece in there, and we all know that the economy took a little bit of a hit, and that was a little challenging. The last couple of months have certainly improved over if you look at April and May. So a little bit difficult to say, hey, that's a direct result of hair testing. I think it is a result of hair testing and maybe numerous other things that we're doing as an organization to try to improve utility and our key metrics. I will tell you from an accident standpoint, we have seen great improvement year over year on accidents. And when I say accidents, I'm not only referring to an accident involving a truck, but also lost time injuries.
Right.
So again, I can't say that all of that improvement is 100% contributed to hair testing, but there is a portion of that. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, and here's one. Actually, this is going to be a head nod from everybody, I think. It's a question for everyone. It's, do you worry that the positives you weed out using hair will go to other carriers who only use urine?
They're going to.
Yeah, so that's an enthusiastic head nod, and Charlie and I are nodding our heads too. Charlie's got 2 daughters that drive on the freeway. I drive on the freeway. I told you guys, I always look for the trucks that I know are the hair testing companies, and those are the ones that I feel comfortable passing. So, yes, well, definitely answer that, yes.
Alan, if you look at how many positives I had versus how many positives, the numbers I gave, the urine test was taken at the exact same time as the hair test. And there was only 18 failed urines that was taken at the exact same time. So subtract 18 from that larger number. They're driving for somebody, I can assure you.
So there was 306 with you. There were 900 with Wilson. There's however many with Greg. And so that's a bunch of people that went down the road. Here's one, probably for all 3 of you. Were the student drivers being tested using urine only?
Yeah, I think that's probably more for me. And our model's changed a little bit over the last year, where we still do some student hiring, but it's not the 50% that I spoke about earlier. And yeah, they were just doing urine only for pre-employment. So okay. we saw that number go up tremendously. And yeah, it was failure rate on the urine, even for the student population, was 3%, something like that, compared to skyrocketing to north of 15% for hair testing.
Let's see. Here's one on cost. So let's do that one. So, and actually I'll throw this one over to Charlie because he's probably in as good a place as any. So basically, I'm assuming there's a higher cost for hair testing than urine testing because you mentioned they absorb the higher cost. What is the cost compared to urine testing, and how would I justify it?
Yeah, I'll take that one, AJ, thanks. And I did remember to unmute myself. So when companies drug test, presumably they're testing to identify drug users. That's why you do a drug test in the first place. You want to know who the users are and mitigate your risks and prevent them from coming into the company. So on the basis of that, if you look at how much it costs to identify a positive test, because that's what you're paying for. You want to identify the people who do drugs. Based on the data we have, the Psychomedics hair test is at least 2.5 times less expensive than a urine test, and about 40% less expensive than other hair tests. And part of that reason is the patent we have to extract the drug from the hair and things like that. So the answer is, while the initial cost of the test is higher than a urine test, it identifies more users. So the cost per positive is the lowest in the industry.
So base cost per positive being the total dollars that it cost to test and the total number of people you found that were users
That's
divided by that number. Yeah, okay.
I might add too, if you don't mind, Alan, the fact of the matter is we're absorbing the extra costs because we're urine testing and hair testing at the same exact time, because the hair test is not accepted yet. And you know that to me, if it's more accurate, I would rather see us do that than have to do both of them at the same time.
Well, here's a question for you guys then, timely. If the positive rates are 9x up to 18x more using hair for you guys, do you think DOT will authorize use of hair testing in the near future? If safety is the issue, leaving that many drivers seems tremendously unsafe. What's being done to encourage DOT approval of hair testing? So
I mean, I'll take that. I think the DOT is certainly reviewing that. There's a lot of information that's been provided to them. You know, there's a lot of inputs to that, right? And there's certainly industries that maybe wouldn't want to adopt hair testing. So there's a lot that goes into that. And so, yeah, there's information that has been provided to the DOT. They've requested information. So I think at some point in time in the future that will occur. And I think all three of us would say, you know, it can't happen soon enough. But I think we all understand that, you know, the DOT has to do their due diligence as well, right? They can't take a few studies or whatever and say, yep, we're going to run with that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, maybe we've kind of what Dean was talking about here. We're not necessarily saying that obviously to get the drug using drivers out of the industry, we want everybody to do it. But I think from a cost standpoint, we just want the flexibility. We're not necessarily saying everybody else has to hair test, but we certainly want the flexibility to not do both. And so that is something that we'd like to see happen at some time in the near future.
it's a consistent view from all three of you. That's great. Hey, one question, and this is like a 1-2 minute answer, and then we can close out. If I recall correctly, George, Dean, and Wilson all implemented the hair testing around March of 18. I'm curious, have you seen any correlation between testing and any reduction in driver workers' compensation injury incidents?
I'll start with that. I started in August of 2012. So over that time period, our accident rates have basically leveled, gone down, whatever you want to call it. But during that same time frame, we kind of flipped too, and we started our own school, and we bring in more people with less experience and put them through all the training. So I think there's a correlation there, but I can't just say it was based on that, because we also run all the technology on the trucks that we can and things like that. So we're a very technology driven organization, and it's difficult to pinpoint one thing. You know, I get asked a lot about, if you could stop doing one thing, what would you be? I don't know. I'm scared to death. I mean, many years ago, we put deer whistles on the trucks because we didn't want to hit deers. And so then we took them off, and, you know, we still hit them even if we had them on there. So it's one of those deals where you build a program and you put all these pieces together, and you can't attain it. You can't say all your reduction was based on one thing. It's a combination of everything we're doing together is the reason why we're all pushing for different things, and we're all trying different things, you know?